Hi guys. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health. And I believe that we all deal with anxiety and depression at one time or another in our life. That's part of life. Like if we lose a loved one, that's really hard. I mean, surviving a death of a loved one. I mean, there are the four to five stages of grieving that we learned in nursing, and depression is definitely one of those stages. It's just part of the process. So, the point I wanted to make is I find that, well, we all know there's so much stigma surrounding the term mental illness. And it's sad. It's heartbreaking because I think it just adds to either confusion or the unknown, and then it just keeps everybody more in the dark because nobody wants to talk about it. I mean, we are definitely better than we were 100 years ago. I mean, that's a fact. However, we still have a long ways to go. And I just think that, a lot of people suffer because of it, because of the stigma. And I think that's another reason why medicine isn't as good as it can be. I mean, medicine has come a long way though. I'm not against psychotropics for the severely mentally insane. I do think that they are overprescribed though, and I think they're wrong, prescribed in the wrong way. Like, I don't believe that, because someone has insomnia, they should start taking antipsychotics. I think that's ridiculous. And again, there's so many different variables, and everyone's different. The brain is so complex. So it's hard, like, just, you can't say, oh, well, somebody might have insomnia, and, maybe whatever's going on with them, maybe they are having psychosis, or I don't know, but just for simple insomnia, no. But anyways, so Kratom, I love Kratom. I'll always promote. I'm a total believer in Kratom. Taking it for almost 3 years, and I do believe that we should have various tools to use to cope with things in life. Life isn't easy, especially right now during this COVID pandemic and everything. It's crazy. I live in California, and it's bad. I mean, we haven't ever really opened back up. Like, we don't have any malls. Our bowling alley is still shut down. It's tough. And my son, he's, it sucks for him because he can't go to school. He misses his friends. He misses socializing, and, he misses normalcy. Like, nothing. And we're trying to make it as normal as possible, but it's not normal by any means. And I think everyone is getting sick of it, which I don't blame them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've heard that other states are, like, basically open. I don't think concerts are being held anywhere. But yeah, California, it's bad. So we're still really on lockdown, and I think it's just going to get worse again. But so again, thankfully I'm always aware. Like, I'm always thinking about mental health, and my main concern is that my son is well mentally and emotionally, and myself I'm always thinking about mental health, because it's if your brain if your mind is right, then everything else falls into place. Like, thoughts produce feelings. That's a fact. I've studied psychology for years as a psych nurse. I was trained thoroughly, very thoroughly, and we had I was trained in medical surgical nursing, psychiatry, and developmental disabilities and the etiology of developmental disabilities. So I'm pretty well rounded in those three scopes of practice in those fields. So that's helped me a lot. And I love psychology anyways. But like, for instance, if you had a car that needed fixing, I doubt you would use only one tool to fix the car. You would have a toolbox with various tools. So the same goes for like life. Like, I'm dealing with maybe anxiety or just, different things that weigh on us that we have to deal with as adults. I mean, even children too, because we all have to deal with anxiety right now. It's just a given. But so I think it's important to have various tools and not just to rely on one tool such as Kratom. Kratom is wonderful, but I do believe that like exercise is really, really important. Like that's my number one go-to to manage my anxiety. Like I'm more like type A personality. I don't really like labels, but there are like type A, type B. I'm like the more high strung, like on the go. I have a lot of energy, so I'm more prone to anxiety and that sort of thing. While others who are like maybe type B, who are more like reserved, relaxed, those people generally are, I'm not saying this is just like a fact, but just kind of, it's true. A lot of those people are more prone to depression. And that's just what I've seen in my experience also to back that up. And it's interesting. But going back to, mental illness, there's so many different degrees and variables and, what determines an actual mental illness or mental disorder is where, like, if someone is mentally ill, like seriously, like mentally ill, that would mean that they have like those symptoms of, say, anxiety or depression, and the symptoms were severe enough to keep them from performing activities of daily living and their everyday lives. If those symptoms are severe enough, like whatever they may be, or say a person maybe they have obsessive and compulsive traits. So if those traits get bad enough to where it interferes with their daily lives and functioning, that is what determines a diagnosis. And that's what I've been trained as a nurse. That's what I was taught as a trained medical professional. Makes sense, though, when you think about it. And what's very interesting is, if you think about it, like about what I'm talking about, like we all have different personalities. We all have traits and personality, characteristics that make up these different, like mental disorders. It's kind of freaky. Like we used to joke around when I worked at Napa State Hospital. Me and my coworkers, we used to laugh and we'd be like, okay, like Linda or whoever, the RN, we were like, okay, so if she was mentally insane, which disorder would she have? Like, we would just go around and, like say that about each other. And it was weird. It was kind of trippy because it was true. Like she, she was really, she was so concerned, like, about cleaning her house all the time. Like, she was sort of OCD, but it was a joke. It wasn't severe enough to where she couldn't function. So we would be like, oh yeah, she would be OCD. And then, and me, well, I'm always like running around and have so much energy. And so, I would be like, oh, PTSD. And guess what? Yeah, I have PTSD. It's pretty manageable. I don't think it's a really bad case, but yeah, like I've always like kind of struggled with anxiety. That was my thing. So it's just interesting. And then like someone else who is like really mellow would be like, oh yeah, he'd have major depression. But of course, I mean, it's no laughing matter. But this is just talking about my past experiences, and it is kind of interesting though. So that can be kind of your guide to kind of, monitor maybe yourself and see what's going on with you. Because, just because maybe we don't feel good mentally, it doesn't mean we're insane, or it doesn't mean you're crazy. No. And I think it'd be a good idea for everyone just not to ignore symptoms if you do have them, or at least, to take care of any symptoms, because a lot of times once you do address or take care of your symptoms and try to manage them, then they can go away. They can either go away, or you can manage them to where they're manageable, and then they won't get worse. Because a lot of times what happens is if someone does have symptoms and they ignore the symptoms, then, or they cover them up with a substance, then it just gets worse later on, and then it may develop into something larger like bipolar disorder. I mean, that's a significant condition, and that just doesn't go away on its own. So I like to talk about these things because I want to help people and maybe prevent someone from something that they could have avoided later on in their life. Because I know people who did just ignore it, and now they're paying the price. And it's like, only, maybe if they could have dealt with things earlier, sooner in their lives, maybe they wouldn't have had to have a breakdown. So that was my little talk about mental illness. And like for anxiety, Kratom is great for so many things. However, I do believe that, first it's important to do other things to manage it. Like I exercise, that's really important to me. And the only time I don't is if I'm like really sick, and then I'll take like a few days off. But then as soon as I feel better, I get like right back on track, because if it's so easy to get out of the habit of doing something, especially when it's a healthy habit. I don't know why that is. I guess it's just we're prone to that. We're imperfect. But it seems like it's so much harder. Like it's hard to break a bad habit, and it's hard to establish a healthy one. And it's so easy to fall out of that good habit. So good habits are important to maintain. And this is pretty. This is the ocean waves. I found this app. It's called Headspace. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've been seeing advertisements for it, but it's kind of cool. It's a free app. You just can kind of meditate, hang out. And another thing is, like, Facebook can be really toxic. Like, I love advocating and everything, but there can be some really negative feedback and just drama. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. So don't feel bad if you just need to walk away, take a break, and unplug. Like, even a few hours can help, or like a day. And you'd be surprised if you just, like leave your phone alone for like 8 hours, and then you come back and, you're just refreshed, because it can really like wear you down, especially if you have fibro. So you guys, anyone out there listening to me right now who has fibro, you know what I'm talking about. I've been dealing with fibro for a long time. And the number one thing that exacerbates it is emotional and mental fatigue or stress. So gotta try and, stay away from that if you can, and take care of yourself. And like the media and the news and everything that surrounds COVID, a lot of it is just, it's a mess. Like, I used to keep up with it, but honestly, I wasn't getting anything positive from it. It's important to know what's going on, but you can know what's going on by just maybe watching like 15 minutes of the 5 o'clock news every day, and that's it, and then turn it off. I mean, that's me. I'm a happier person for that. Music is definitely my go-to. Music and exercise, those are the two things that literally keep me sane. Like, I'm so, like, thankfully I was born where I've been writing since I was like 9. Like, I started writing short stories when I was around 9 years old. And I mean, it sounds funny, but I love to sing. So I just started singing, but I've been singing since I was like 4. So music, and like I'm back on the piano. So, all those things are really, really great. And guess what? It's something that I can do besides being on my phone or my computer. Because, I love technology and there's a lot of positives to it. But, I don't want it to just consume my every waking moment. Like, for me, that is unhealthy. Like, I think it's important to have a healthy balance. Just like, it's healthy to work and to play. Like, it's important to have a balance of those two things. It's all about moderation, though, isn't it? Like, same with Kratom. Like, I know maybe some of you guys, like, get annoyed. I don't know if maybe people are annoyed with me. But I just really want, like, new people who are new to Kratom, like, please, like, don't overtake it. Like, less is more. And one of the main reasons too is because, like, if you do need something to take long term, well, it's really important to take the minimal dose in the beginning, because, well, you can build a tolerance to it. And say, maybe it's not that big a deal if maybe you do have to increase like years later. But if you weren't taking that much to begin with, then it won't really matter as much if you have to maybe increase like years later. That's the way I look at it. Because I do want to take this herb successfully. I'd like to for the rest of my life. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't see why not, but that is my plan, and so I want to do everything in my power to try and keep that happening. And that means the less is more approach is the best way. That's if you're able to. I'm not saying, some people, maybe they had to start with a heavier dose. That's different. But at least try. When you start taking Kratom for the very first time, don't go and take a large amount. That's just foolish. And you're probably wasting it. And so that's another thing too. Wasted money. And again, wasted Kratom. Okay, well, guys, I love you and care about all of you. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to build that up. I appreciate it. Okay, Kratom on, folks. Love you. Bye.